Oba, I'm gonna take you back a little bit to when Oba was little. I know this had to be a long time ago, but growing up in Nigeria, bro, tell us.
I'm 26. Let's not.
I don't think he was ever little.
I'm
bro.
saying little in the sense of what you're 6'6", 310. So you being a little Oba, that was you have to think way back for that. So like, what was life like growing up in Nigeria for you?
Well, apparently, looking back at it now, I guess it was hard. But in the moments while you're in it, it's just life. That's why when people start telling their tragedy story, their origin stories, and they cry about it, I'm just like, it should have been normal. But okay, it was
a good point.
I grew up in a loving family. My father was very strict, but he was still affectionate in his ways. My mom was also strict, but she was more affectionate than my father. So I grew up with a good bond with my parents. Me and my dad didn't get along all the time, but when we did, we did. I grew up in this place called K2. Interestingly enough, Omos. I don't know if you've heard of Omos, the Giants.
That was a question we were going to have for you later.
Yeah, well aware.
He's from that exact area. He grew up there, and he obviously grew up there, before me because he's quite a bit older than I am. But I'm from there. I grew up there, and my childhood was fun. It was hard looking back at it now, but at that time, I was having a blast.
Now, during that time, you say you were a wrestling fan. What were some of the superstars that you enjoyed watching when you could watch them?
When I could watch it at the time, it was Undertaker, Lesnar, Triple H was definitely my favorite, hands down. And I'm not just saying it because he's my boss.
It can't hurt though.
It can't hurt. I like the move.
At all. And CM Punk. What's interesting about because the past 2 years, like CM Punk recently just joined the WWE again, like a year ago, I want to say. And for a while we weren't allowed to talk about him. So a lot of people ask me, who are your favorites? And I would want to say CM Punk. And I couldn't. It's great that now I can say his name again. So yeah, CM Punk was, he was up there. As a matter of fact, I watched wrestling the most when he was on his historic title reign. It was like 430 something days of him being champion, and that was basically my childhood. So a lot of those of his matches and his celebrations and his promos are just burned into my memory, and I'm sure Phil doesn't even really know, but yeah, Phil was my childhood. So those guys were my guys when I was growing up.
Yeah, Phil was our first guest on this pod.
We owe a lot to him, man.
That is our guy,
And it seems over that now that he's back, he's spending a lot of time down in NXT trying to just share information and the wealth of knowledge. Have you been able to kind of, just post up with him and pick his brain a little bit?
Yes, I have been able to. He gave me feedback on my match with Wesley. He gave me feedback on my match with Axiom. I remember him being present for those two. He's been at so many more shows, but those were the ones I remember, going to talk to him after my match. And it's always good to have someone who is currently active tell you things because, they're in with the times. They're here, experiencing the change in the winds and all that with you. It's kind of interesting when, the older guys tell you stuff. You can always, it's always good advice, but like you can never forget, like that was their time, and most of the stuff they would tell you would be based on what they know. But we're in a very different time now. The old timers will tell you, kayfabe, you protect the business, love the business, die for the business, and all that. And it's still the same way, but now we're at the point where we pull the curtain back a little bit. We let the fans in on what we do and who we are outside of when we're just on TV. So CM Punk, long story short, CM Punk is, he's a very useful tool. He's a huge resource, and I hope the other NXT superstars see it the same way. And it's amazing to have him here at the PC.
Watch new episodes of No Contest Wrestling every Wednesday or listen wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow us at No Contest Wrestling Podcast on Instagram.